Hi, I'm Richie Zellon, and in this video I bring you the second in a series of lessons in which I deconstruct the style of an influential jazz guitarist by analyzing and teaching you various phrases by the chosen artist. In today's lesson, we are deconstructing Joe Pass, a legendary bebop guitarist whom I believe needs no introduction. Coming up next. Welcome back to the Jazz Guitar Channel, and if this is your first time and you're serious about learning everything you can about the art of playing jazz guitar, please subscribe and be sure to click the bell icon so you won't miss anything. The transcribed phrases I am going to teach you next are all included in my ebook 20th Century Jazz Guitar, which you can download for free from my site jazzguitar.richiezellon.com by simply registering for my newsletter. I have placed a direct link in the info section down below this video. For those of you familiar with Joe Pass, and I believe that is the great majority of you because Pass is a household name in the world of jazz guitar, you are probably well aware that in the second half of his illustrious career, he spent most of his time playing solo, that is, with absolutely no accompaniment. However, in this video, we are going to explore the linear facet of his style. Who knows, maybe in a future installment of this series, I'll feature Pass's unique approach to solo chord melody. So before I teach and explain the phrases, let's listen to all 6 of them back to back. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, or 1. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4. And this is phrase number 1 on page 62. And it goes like this. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. And here it goes slowly, and I'll explain what's going on here. 1, 2, 3, 4. So he starts on the root of the 2 minor chord, the D minor 7, plays the 9 or the 2, then he does a double chromatic approach from above to the flat 3. And then he plays a segment of a 9th arpeggio, plays in D minor, and goes on to the 5-7 chord, the G7, starts on the 5th, 4, passing tone, to 3, where he starts another arpeggio, just a very basic dominant 7 arpeggio, 3, 5, flat 7, approaches the 3 from below, 2, 3, and again accents that flat 7, which in turn resolves by half step down to the 3 of the 1 chord, C major 7. Where he goes 5, 6, 7. Now, when he starts on the 7, he does an enclosure to the 1. And Joe Pass plays a lot of enclosures around the 1, as we'll notice also in phrases number 2, number 5, and number 6. Then he goes to the final chord, the F9. Here he uses the Lydian dominant scale, starts on the 9th, that G, and he plays an arpeggio, flat 7, the sharp 11, which is characteristic of this chord, again the 9, and the flatted 7 again, an octave below. If you'll notice, that's an augmented chord being superimposed against the F9. Very cool stuff. And we're on to phrase number 2 on page 63. This again is a major 2-5-1 in the key of F. G minor 7, C7, F major 7. And it goes like this. 1, 2, or 1. And let me play that slower. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. And here he simply starts with a scale, just straight from the root. Then he goes to the C7 chord, and he does an enclosure to the 5, to the G. 6 from above and a chromatic from below. And keeps following it up the scale all the way to the 3rd, the major 3rd, and he's ready to make the transition into the 1 chord. And here he does so with the 3, the major 3rd, and then he has that enclosure to the 1 again. 7, 2, 1. So there's a little chromatic approach here to the 5. That's a little classical piece there for piano. I'm sure some of you have heard it. And for the final measure, he descends chromatically from the 5 of the chord, which is C, and then just goes down to scale and ends on the 13. Which is that D. And we're ready for phrase number 3 by Joe Pass, and this is on page 64. This one has a pickup, and it's a minor 2-5 in the key of D minor. E minor 7 flat 5, A7 flat 9, D minor 7. 1, 2, 3. This is pretty straightforward. It starts with this pickup, which is a chromatic enclosure to the flatted 3 of the E minor 7 flat 5, the 2 minor chord here. The flat 5. And the last 3 notes of that E minor 7 flat 5 measure, flat 7, flat 5, flat 13, and then making that smooth voice leading transition to the C sharp, which is the first note here for the A7 flat 9. And here he's using the symmetrical diminished 3, 5, flat 2. Here he's got that enclosure to the 1 again, see? Goes down to the sharp 4, 5, flat 7, and makes the transition to the D minor 7, playing the flat 3. And we're ready to move on to phrase number 4. Phrase number 4 is on page 65. F minor 7, flat 5, B flat 7, flat 9, and E flat major 7. And it goes like this. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so starts here with the flatted 7 of the 2 minor 7 flat 5 chord. Goes down the scale. And that's the Locrian scale. Just a very straightforward run down the scale. And then he goes into the B flat 7 flat 9 and plays using the altered or super Locrian scale. In B flat, starts with the sharp 11, 3, sharp 5 or flatted 13, sharp 9, flat 9, 1, flat 7, and then he makes that really smooth transition from this flatted 7 to the 3 in E flat major 7. He plays a portion of the E flat major 7 arpeggio, 3, 5, 7. Then he's going to target this 5, but he's going to kind of enclose it with several notes. See? I like to call that a 4-note enclosure. Several people do call it that. 5, the very last measure, 5, plays the 5 again, an octave down, 1, and then he does 4, targets that 3. 3-note enclosure there. And we're ready to move on to phrase number 5 on page 66. And we have a major 2-5-1 here. The 5-7 chord is using an altered or a flat 9 here, which is pretty customary to do. And this starts with a pickup, which is an enclosure to the flatted 3 in the C minor 7. And it goes like this. 1, 2, 3. Okay, this one's kind of tough. Starts with an enclosure to the flatted 3, 4, 2, flat 3. Plays a little arpeggio here, starting on the 5th to the 9th. 5, flat 7, 9. It's a chromatic. Chromatic to the flatted 13, or if you want to see it as a sharp 5. Then plays the sharp 9, flatted 9. The root, flatted 7, flatted 13 again, 3, flatted 9, flatted 7, 1, flatted 9, and goes to the major 7th of the 1 chord, the B flat major 7. And notice that I'm playing it differently than the fingering in the book. In the book it's I'm going up here and I want to make a little brief parenthesis here and say that these fingerings in the book are just for starters. You really need to experiment with different fingerings and practice in as many different keys and ranges as possible, which will force you to use different fingerings. So keep that in mind. But anyways, going back to this final B flat major 7 chord here, we have the 7, the 1, and then again we have this this enclosure to the 1, which Joe Pass used frequently, which is the 2 and the 7 enclosing the 1. So he plays this time 2, 7, 1, 2, 3, 5, and notice that here it kind of starts the same phrase again. This is what we call a sequence, and he's playing the sequence in 2 octaves. So, and then he does that in the 2nd octave, only that he starts it with the 6, the G, and then he does that that enclosure with the 2 and the 7 to the 1. 2, 7, 1, 2, 3, 5. And we're ready to look at the final phrase, phrase number 6. Wow. On page 67. And this is a major 2-5-1 using mainly 16th notes. Wow. This is really fast, but I'm going to play it pretty slow in comparison to Joe Pass. So it goes like this. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so again here he starts with that classic enclosure to the 1, playing the 2 and the 7 before playing the 1 over that initial G minor 7 chord. So he plays 2, 7, and 1. And then he goes up the scale to flat 3, 4, and then he does a little slide to the 3 of the F. In the book you'll see it's written C7 because that's the original changes he was playing over, but he's really thinking over an F chord there. He's skipping the 5 chord altogether and going from the G minor straight to the 1 chord, half a measure before it's officially written there. By the way, this is a trio recording, so he was able to get away with that. And here we have the 3, and now again that classic Joe Pass enclosure, 7, 2, 1, chromatic approach to the 5, 7, 13, and then the final measure, a chromatic line from the 5 to the 3, something else he does frequently, or did frequently, and then continues it with the scale. And then he does a chromatic, a double chromatic from below to the 3. He goes from the 2, chromatic 3, and he changes the direction of the line and goes 3, 5, 6, 7. So from the 5 descending. Yep, that's it. So there you have it. 6 smoking phrases by the legendary Joe Pass. I'd love to hear your comments and welcome any questions you may have. I really hope you've enjoyed this lesson, and if you haven't subscribed yet, please do so, and be sure to click on the bell icon so you won't miss anything. Have fun, and I will be seeing you in the next video.